If you want to own a Ford F-250 pickup for the lowest possible price, you need to check out what these two brothers are up to this week. As you can see, the side of this 2022 Ford F-250 is severely damaged, but luckily, it can still move under its own power. The door won't close properly and is just held shut with a rope. The rear window is also completely shattered. The condition of this truck can only be described as battle-scarred. After letting it air out in the yard for a week to get rid of the smell, one of the brothers was ready to start the project. He pulled off the tarp covering the truck and moved it into the repair area to assess the full extent of the damage. The first task was to find the source of the foul odor. After a bit of searching, he discovered the truck bed was filled with a massive amount of crayfish. That certainly explained the smell. Next was assessing the damage. The driver's side of the truck from front to back was completely unsalvageable. The other side, however, was in perfect condition, without a single flaw, so the repair would be focused entirely on the driver's side. Before starting any real work, the first step, as always, was to clean out the truck bed. This mainly involved removing all the crayfish shells and other trash left by the previous owner. Since the windows were broken and the truck had been parked outside for a long time, the interior was full of dust and glass shards, which he cleaned out with a shop vac. It took the two of them the better part of a day to get the tab mostly clean. Next, the two brothers wanted to take the F-250 for a test drive. Since the door still wouldn't close, one of them had to tie it shut with a rope again. A quick burnout showed that the engine hadn't been seriously affected by the crash. With the engine confirmed to be healthy, the two brothers took the F-250 out on the road to test its performance. Then, they headed to a grassy wooded area to try out the F-250's incredible off-road capabilities. This really shows why the Ford F-250 is so popular. It can be a comfortable daily driver in the city, and on the weekends, it can transform into a hardcore off-road machine, ready to conquer any mountain. It's a shame that in some countries, trucks have a mandatory retirement age. Otherwise, it would be the perfect vehicle for every family. After a 10-mile test drive, the two returned to the workshop. As you can see, all the functions in the cab were working normally, with only a few airbags having deployed. To make the upcoming disassembly easier, the two brothers decided to give the truck a thorough cleaning first. The bed, the engine bay, and the entire body. These details show just how seriously the two brothers take every project. With the truck clean, they immediately moved it into the workshop, and the teardown could begin. They had to remove all the damaged parts on the driver's side. The removed door was complete junk. The two brothers, always up for some fun, decided to take the doorless truck for a free car wash. They wrapped themselves in plastic bags and drove into the automatic car wash. As the foam filled the cab, one of them used the free soap to clean the interior, followed by a rinse with the free water. You have to admire their ingenuity. They never miss an opportunity for a freebie. But despite their playful nature, they invest a massive amount of effort and resources into every vehicle they repair. Now, after all the fun, it was time to pay the price. The interior was completely flooded. They had to start disassembling the entire truck. First to go was the heavily damaged truck bed. The brother and his father lifted the massive bed off the frame. Now the F-250 was just a cab and a chassis. Since the front fender was also damaged, the grille had to come off with it. After removing the fender, it was time for the windshield.
The original windshield was not damaged, so they had to be extremely careful during removal to avoid breaking it. Next was removing the adhesive residue from the shattered rear window. This is where having the right tools makes all the difference. He had all the old adhesive cleaned off in no time. Now it was time to remove the body's outer panels. As one of the brothers was about to get to work, he noticed there was still a lot of water in the cab, so he had to use the shop vac again for cleanup before continuing. Removing the damaged side panel required both brothers to work together, using every tool and piece of equipment they had. After nearly 2 hours of wrestling with it, the mangled panel was finally separated from the frame. He mentioned that this aluminum panel could technically be repaired, but the time and effort involved just weren't worth it, so they decided to scrap it. But after removing it, he found another problem. The B-pillar was also slightly bent. For two perfectionists, this was unacceptable. The bent B-pillar would also have to be replaced. The most important thing now was to make a complete list of all the parts they needed to replace. With the shopping list in hand, the two drove their work truck out to go shopping. For them, shopping means heading to the Ford dealership to buy new parts. This really shows their commitment to quality. As soon as they got back to the workshop, the whole family started unboxing the parts. It was like opening blind boxes. Every box was a new surprise. With this, the two brothers had finally gathered all the replacement parts needed for the F-250. But it wasn't time to install them yet. They had to strip the interior first to check for any hidden damage. Luckily, besides the deployed airbags, the internal structure was fine. The first thing he wanted to do was test fit the new driver's side body panel they had sourced. The dimensions were a perfect match. Now they could cut out the damaged B-pillar. This is a task they are very familiar with. It didn't take them long to separate it from the body. Then, just like before, they did a test fit. After confirming a perfect match, they could apply adhesive and reinstall it. To ensure the B-pillar was perfectly aligned and bonded, he used every clamp he had in the workshop to hold it in place, reinforcing it with rivets. The two brothers were very satisfied with the progress. If they had tried to repair it like some other shops, it would have wasted a huge amount of time. Next was installing the new outer panel. Again, adhesive was applied before it was secured with rivets. This was the most time-consuming and physically demanding part of the stage. The whole family took turns setting the rivets to get the new side panel installed. Next, they headed to a junkyard to source a front and rear door for the F-250. This saved them a massive amount of money. As soon as they got the doors back, they test fitted them. As you can see, the two doors are different colors, but thankfully they both fit perfectly. Now it was time to prep for paint. Since the hood only had minor damage, they just needed to sand it down, do some minor body work, apply filler, and sand it smooth. With that, the hood repair was complete. At this point, the truck's body repair had reached a new milestone. All that was left was to spray a new coat of paint. But before heading to the paint booth, there was one major problem left to solve: the damaged truck bed. Many people might think the bed is a single piece, but it's not. The repair process is the same as the main body. You just have to separate the damaged side panel from the bed and then assemble the new replacement panel according to the instructions. With their previous experience, the family easily completed the truck bed repair. For all of you watching, do you still think fixing cars is as complicated as you thought it would be? But don't forget, we don't have the same access to parts as they have. The top priority now was to prep the entire truck for paint. Given the F-250's massive size, sanding it was no easy task. The whole family worked from morning till night to get it done.
The first thing they did the next day was to wash the truck again. Just then, a large package arrived. Inside was a set of brand new headlights for the Ford F-250. Another box contained a new F-250 grille. The two brothers immediately test-fitted them. The new smoked headlights and grille gave the front end a much more aggressive and impactful look. At this point, one of the brothers couldn't wait to see the finished product. They immediately removed all the test-fitted body panels and headlights and applied seam sealer to all the repaired areas on the front end. Then it could be driven into the paint booth. This time, since the entire truck needed a new coat of paint, only the interior was masked off. Now, the painting could begin. Anyone who has seen their previous builds knows that their painting skills are top-notch. The finished product is always as good as, if not better, than the factory paint. After a fresh coat of paint, who could tell this was once a major wreck? If this truck were to hit the used market, it would definitely be considered a premium vehicle. But the painting wasn't over yet. The two used doors they sourced and the repaired truck bed also needed to be sanded and sent into the booth for a matching coat of paint. The process was the same, so let's just jump to the finished product.
While the paint was drying, the team wasn't idle. They started installing the deployed roof airbags and the rear window. The new rear glass had arrived a while ago, but they had to wait until the paint was done to install it. As soon as it was in, they tested the power sliding window. After confirming it worked properly, they moved on to reinstalling the front windshield. With the seats still out, they took the opportunity to give the interior a complete deep clean and detailing. After their hard work, the entire interior looked 90% new. But for now, the cab needed to be well ventilated, so the two brothers turned their attention back to installing the truck bed, which had been separated from the frame for months. The taillights were also replaced with a matching smoked set to complement the headlights. This combination was definitely a huge plus for the truck's overall look. The new front grille also had built-in LED lights, which the two brothers were extremely happy with. They walked around the truck several times and couldn't find a single flaw. Next was reinstalling the front bumper. But as they were about to mount it, they noticed a lot of scratches on it. This threw a wrench in their plans. One of the brothers had to sand down the scratches, apply filler, and send it back to the paint booth. Meanwhile, his father was busy replacing the seat covers. Instead of trying to stitch up the torn leather from the airbag deployment, they had a custom set of diamond-stitched leather covers made, giving the seats a much sportier look. Of course, this was a full set, including the front and rear seats. The reupholstered seats were immediately installed back in the truck. Since the front bumper was still in the paint booth, the team worked on the door panels, reinstalling the original ones to keep the interior style consistent. As each trim piece was reinstalled, the restoration of this 2022 Ford F-250 was nearing its end. One of the brothers also applied some custom graphics he had prepared for the sides of the truck. Now, who would ever guess this was once a heavily damaged accident vehicle? The two brothers were captivated by the finished truck. One of them said he had never thought a Ford F-250 could look so stunning. To make it even more capable, the two brothers bit the bullet and ordered another set of upgrades. From the unboxed parts, it was clear they were building a monster truck. And sure enough, he immediately pulled out a set of much larger tires. These two are men of action.
They immediately put the truck on the lift, removed the wheels, and started disassembling the stock suspension system. The original drive shaft was also removed. Now they just had to install all the new replacement parts. We'll skip the details of the installation process. With the 4 massive wheels installed, the final stage of this Ford F-250 build was complete. Standing next to the truck now, the brother looks almost small in comparison. So for the end of the video, as is tradition, let's take this brand new beast for a drive and experience what it feels like. Are you guys satisfied with this incredible upgrade?